is the Next Level Loan Officers podcast. To learn more about Next Level Loan Officers, go to becomenl.com.
Well, welcome back to another Next Level Loan Officers podcast, the #1 podcast for loan officers by loan officers anywhere across this great country. It's an honor to be here with you today. Kellen, Vaughan, founder and coach of Next Level. And man, I am joined in the Next Level studios today with my fellow founder and coach, Mr. Shane Kidwell. Shane, what's happening?
What's up, guys? It's another beautiful day in the Next Level studio.
That's right.
And we're obviously the virtual studio, but believe it or not, in Seattle today, I can actually say sunny Seattle, which I know for our guests is typically the case in Utah, but we've got a special guest on today. And, you know, as we were talking with Dan and kind of going over some things, I mean, Dan Munford has been a coach. He's been a producer. He's been a leader in the mortgage space. He's been through, you know, I call the booms and the busts of the market. And he's come out on the other side with his sanity, with his hair, and
more than a lot of us can say.
More than some. Actually, under this hat, it's not even hair. The hair is stuck to the hat. That's why I wear the hat all the time. But like that says something. Like when you land on your feet time and time again, you must be doing a few things right. And he has the heart and passion of a coach. And today, really wanted to talk about something that is so basic. It's the blocking and tackling that you would think we would all have mastered by now, but we haven't. We need to get back to it. It's like, you know, you see these athletes and they're lifting weights, but they don't have good nutrition. And I remember one of our coaches said a story to me. He actually ended up being in the Super Bowl, played for the Patriots, and he told a story about his first or second year in the league. Great body, great athlete, amazing talent. Like his frame is just built different than mine. And he was eating cheeseburgers in the locker room. And Junior Seau or somebody, one of these like veteran guys came up to him and said, "Hey, rookie, what the hell are you eating?" Right? So he had good like weight training habits, but some of the basics he just hadn't dialed in. And owning your database, the real estate partnerships and relationships, that's the blocking and tackling. That's the basic nutrition. You can work out as much as you want it, but if you don't get that dialed in, you're not losing weight. You can cold call as much as you want, but if you don't master these things, you're not going to grow and sustain your business. So Dan, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Appreciate let's just dig right in, man. Like, and by all means, give the back of your baseball card. Like, how did you get here today? What have you done? But really, most importantly, and you know this, most importantly is like, let's just get into like the topic that we were talking about before we jumped on.
Such a cool.
I think this year will be 31 years for me, which is kind of crazy. You know, my brother called me one day and said, "Hey, I'm going into real estate. Why don't you come be my lender?" And I said, "Okay, let's do it." So next thing you know, we're killing in the industry, and now we've both been in it for so long, it's kind of crazy. But what I wanted to really jump into today is the database, man. The database is kind of crazy. You know, we're all prone to calling our database, you know, weekly or daily or however many people you're calling each time you do that. And the interesting thing to me is that I feel like that's just so, I don't know, disrespectful, you know, to your database, because the goal here is add value. And how are we adding value to our database right now? And I think the thought process that I'm going into right now is kind of both branding and helping them brand. And so not only do you need to be branded and, you know, have a great website and be on social and do the things you're doing and adding value to the community, but in addition to that, how are you helping your past clients add value in their profession, you know? And how are you helping your agents brand and go deep on their database? And so as we dive into this, the thought process is, you're going to call, instead of just calling your database, you're going to meet with your database, but you're going to segregate it into 5-star groups and what they do for a living. And as you do that, you're going to be able to determine what you can do for them. So step one is the meeting, obviously, and making sure that you're a good fit to partner, just like you would with a realtor. And then step two is to determine how you're going to add value to their career. And my thought process goes this direction. My thought process goes immediately to, creating a list of your 5-star services through your database that's been segregated into those 5-star services. Once you have that list, then that list is going to be part of your consultation with each one of your clients. And it goes something like this. Hey, over the years, I've met some phenomenal people. And this list, this last thing in my package for you is a list of those people that that can serve you in any way. And it's segregated into, home services or, body services or health or fitness or whatever. Yep. And so once you have that segregated, then you can hand that to your client and share those people with them. On top of that, your conversation when you get into this topic with each one of your clients is going to be, will you do the same for me? Will you create a list and will you give it to your clients? And then we can create this network, this personal network and brand of 5-star services. And then we go a step further and we spotlight them on social. The goal here is let's use all of the tools that we have that are free, right? And let's not ask for a discount either direction. That way, because we're bringing them business, because they're bringing us business, nobody needs a coupon. Nobody needs, hey, what can you do for my clients? It doesn't have to be like that because you're both doing it. So you're adding top value, not just a little bit of value, I think. So
like if you had, I want to make sure that I'm following this because this is actually a really pretty cool idea. So like, let's say, so I've got across the office for me, I've got a financial planner that I do some work with. Edward Jones guy, nice guy, good guy. He's thrown me a couple deals and likewise. So he would definitely be somebody on my 5-star list, right? Like I wouldn't hesitate to give his name to anybody. So he would be on my list of people who I might hand out to all my closed clients and just say, hey, welcome to your new house. Hey, by the way, here's my curated list of, a yard guy, this person, or that person. Oh, and by the way, you've got Brad on here, who's a financial planner as well. And then Brad's doing the same thing, right? But I'm the mortgage guy listed on his sheet that he's giving to his new or existing financial planning clients and saying, hey, by the way, here's a curated list of people that I trust and do business with. Is that fair?
Yeah. And then when you sit down, once you've done this for yourself, then the goal is to go in and teach it to your regular partners so that they are doing it as well. Your realtors, your builders, your whoever, that way it just creates this kind of internal private network that, what's the goal with a past client? A referral once in a while,
right?
Adding value creates referrals, so I think the goal is just to add value, and you may not get as many as you think, but I think you'll get more than you would if you didn't do this. You know what I mean?
When I love this, Dan, because I always talk about giving $1 to somebody every time you interact. And if I'm always giving a virtual $1 when I send an email, they're more likely to read that email. If I'm sending them $1 via text, they're going and so by farming value from other people in your network, you're now the farmer of their value. You're now creating a kind of a virtual place where you're storing that, and then you're disseminating that out to your people very strategically. And so you're saying, hey, this month, like great value add from my financial planner. And we got to get creative with some of these guys. I mean, as an insurance agent, add a ton of value outside of writing a policy. Well, they do through stories of how they saved people money, or they did something, or a life insurance that was used. So
absolutely.
But we've got to get creative. And this is what you're talking about. It's like using the free tools that we have at our disposal. So what I'm taking away, and I've talked about this, but I've actually thought about doing this before. It's like an affinity network, right? This is really what we're talking about. And this has been around for years. The reality is that what you're doing is you're taking something that's easily scalable through email, video email, text messaging. Like this is CRM communication 101. And then of course you meet with these people in person that you're going to be offering their services, which is a great excuse to meet with more people. And in next level, I created a strategy called 5-1-1-10, and it's having 5 organic conversations every day. These are the organic conversations that you're having.
Absolutely.
These are the people that you're networking with, you're meeting, you're going to industry events with, and it's almost like billboard advertising in some ways, where your business just starts growing. The more people you hang out with, your business starts to grow.
Absolutely. And think about the compound effect of this, because the compound effect could be huge. Because what if your plumber buddy or your plumber client says to his electrician client, hey, look at what my loan officer's doing for me.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, and so it can grow, and it can grow fast. We've been doing this with my top producer, Justin, for approximately 2 years. He's up to 53 people on his list.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's pause right there, because this is really interesting. I want to dig in on this really quick. So he's got 53 different people / industries.
Yep.
That he is referring out or leveraging as a virtual Rolodex to give out to his past clients and other people. So he's the guy that always has a guy.
He is the guy that always has.
He's like the concierge, right?
He's the concierge. So I want to just ask a random off the top of my head question here. What are some of those? Because I can't think of 53 industries offhand, right? Or 53 services. What are some of the?
Let me pull up his list real quick.
I love this.
I'll pull up his list real quick. So what we do with his list right now is we have his list on. He gives a copy of it to each one of his clients, and then he also has their link on his website. It's called his just-in-time list. It's kind of funny.
Cool.
And at the bottom of the just-in-time page on his website, he has their logos scrolling across his website.
Cool.
And so
does he have multiple
industry? We have the food industry. We have photography industry, and sometimes there's 2 or 3 or 4 people in each category. He has family in the freight industry, so he uses the freight industry, body, hair, dentist, storage, auto, and ATV repair.
It's almost like the entertainment book. You guys remember the entertainment books? I'm dating myself a little bit here, but this is the virtual version of that.
Yeah.
Dan, does he have multiple people in any one category?
Yeah, but let me get a little detailed here. He does have a different list for each mega partner. So there's not more than one realtor on that list. When he gives it to that client, that realtor is on that list.
So so certain categories, i.e. realtor, maybe would be a mega category that, listen, I only put one person on here. I don't put 3.
Yep, there's only going to be one realtor on that list, and it's the client's realtor. Yep.
There might be 3 painters on there.
Yes, correct.
Gotcha. So it's static and dynamic, right? Like it's dynamic for and I would assume the referring party is static, meaning that if Keller Williams Jane introduced me to 10 people, those 10 people, their list will have her, Jane, as the agent, and only her.
Absolutely.
Which makes sense. And so so then what you're doing, and we talked about this offline, then you're promoting this to the mega partners as ways to benefit the mega partners. And this is what we always talk about. Hey, let me show you how I use my CRM to grow your business, how I use my marketing plan to grow your business, how I use my Affinity Network to grow your business.
Correct. Well, and then when you add additional value, you go to social, and like I said, here are the free tools, right? And then the thing we're working on now that we haven't actually implemented yet, and that's the podcast. We're going to start having these individuals on his podcast,
which I love.
We're in the middle of changing his podcast name, in order to do it, because it was blue collar to business owner, and some of these people weren't business owners or blue collar. And so now we're switching the podcast to a growable podcast, and then he'll start to be able to spotlight them there, and then obviously go back to social media and do the podcast or show the podcast there as well.
Yeah, it's a constant cycle.
It is,
and with 53, that's a lot of content.
Yeah, and it's a lot of quick phone calls. Hey, can you be on my podcast next week? You know, so
heck yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. It's a great thing. So far it's going really, really well. The I'll have to give you an update once we do some podcasts, but unbelievable so far.
It's like a BNI group without the meetings, which I really
it's like a personal BNI group with having to write a check.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And
probably far more effective.
Wildly more effective.
We want to do business with the people that we love and care about,
right?
And that's what you're creating. You're creating a group of people that you love and care about that you get to do business with all the time. And I think it's projected him very well in the marketplace and as the expert. And keep in mind, so this is an interesting story. He's been in the industry for 4 years. First year he did 12 million. He was only in the industry from May until December that year. The second year he did 35 million. The third year he did 45 million. And the fourth year, which is this year, he's on track for 35 again.
Which is huge. I mean, 35 million this year is like 70 million.
Market.
Yeah, like his trend is still super positive. Well, guys, if you're listening to this podcast, first and foremost, like send Dan some love because it's blocking and tackling, but it's done at a high level. This brings me back to something called the flywheel concept. And the flywheel concept is you create something that starts to have so much momentum that you can almost take your hands off the wheel. You can stop running on the treadmill and it'll keep running for you. What I love about this, if I have 53 partners now, let's break it down to some of the core values of Next Level. ATMs, which are actions that matter. These are the non-negotiables we do every day. I've simplified it into challenging the group, the room virtually, to do 5 new conversations every day. If I have 53 people, it's easy to do 5 conversations every day with people that I haven't talked to in the last 60 to 90 days. And then to Dan's point, you're asking them, who else in your network should we add to my network? That creates introductions, which is one of Kellen's strategies we used on another podcast for adding value to our real estate agents.
Yep.
I think number 2, this is all about creating and fostering a digital brand. We talk about this all the time. We have a whole class on brand you and social you. This is a great way to get out in social and do things at a high level where you're indirectly talking about your business without talking about your business. I think one of the things that you brought up that I learned as well is as an originator in 2023, you need to design things that are somewhat brand agnostic. And what I mean by that is you don't want to have a podcast that's buying homes with Shane. That's a bad podcast.
Absolutely.
What you want to have is Wake Up PNW, because it's agnostic enough. I can bring on real estate agents. I can bring on a plumber, a financial planner. I don't have to rebrand everything I'm doing to continue to drive content. Because again, I'm a promoter of other people that happens to accept loans and referrals from those people. If all I'm doing is adding mortgage value every day, there's 50 guys and gals down the street that can do the same thing. What Dan's been discussing and Kellen has shared as well is how we're now elevating the expectations and the experience of a consumer and a lender in a new and really cool way.
Absolutely. I think it really, I don't know, we all really, really, really want to do business with these clients over and over and over again. But 9 times out of 10, what's the percentage? 6% of loan officers talk to their client after the closing, or something like that.
Yeah, it's insanely low.
If we could just, the biggest problem here is people doing it. It's going to be the biggest problem. So as I see it, and as I see it happen, that's where I get excited. I get excited because it's happening and it's working, and it's elevating this brand new loan officer to a level that I didn't even hit until I was 10 years in the business, And so it's really exciting to see that,
That's awesome, man. We're always looking for, again, the ways to, to get there faster, get there quicker. And in this market, to do it in a way that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. I mean, that is really the name of the game. I mean, there was, I always tell the story about how I felt like I was probably in that group, Dan, of folks who just were not communicating effectively with their past database. And I'll never forget, Shane was with me. We were in San Diego at one of our events in 2020, February of 2020, which is a very important time.
It is.
Some called us super spreaders, but we were just there for a mastermind. Anyway, what HomeBot was a great vendor of ours there. And I thought, you know what, it's time I do something. And so I loaded all my people into HomeBot in February of 2020. That investment, which cost money, made me over $100,000 in the next year. because all of a sudden the refinances were blowing up. So this is so important, and being at the center of that flywheel, so to speak, is just so important from a loan officer. It's so important being the celebrity expert in your market, which is something else that we talk about for generating content on social. All of this goes to everything that we speak about. So Dan, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing with these loan officers, giving them some glimpse into this. And man, I'd love to have you back, and maybe we'll share this with our people and they can share some stories. Maybe somebody gets a list that's got 60, 65 or so.
Yeah. Love that. I'd love to hear how things work for others, so.
Well, I appreciate that. We love your giving spirit, and thank you for being here. Well, Shane, as always, man, thanks for riding shotgun with me today. I appreciate it. Hey, listen, if you're not part of our Next Level family, check us out over at becomenl.com, and we'll catch you on the next Level Loan Officers podcast. Thanks.